Hey guys, here at Mike Lindell Cyber Symposium with Representative Steve Carra of Michigan, and he has gotten involved in a very important lawsuit involving the state of Mississippi and the killing of unborn children. Representative, tell us about the brief that you have filed and why you decided to get involved in this case.
Yeah, so the 15-week abortion ban out of Mississippi, that's before the U.S. Supreme Court, it has a serious chance of taking down Roe versus Wade. We need to make the argument that when Roe was founded on the idea as if it was potential human life in the womb, that the foundation and building block of Roe is demonstrably erroneous. It is life in the womb. And when we look at a woman's right to choose and, pair that against potential life, you could see where it might make sense to protect a woman's right to choose. But when you know that it's actually life in the womb, they have a detectable heartbeat, they suck their thumb, gets us inches from our ultimate goal of conception. And so I led a nationwide effort of 321 state legislators who signed on to this. And the argument we're making is that we should be able to respect and protect life within our respective states. And we're not able to do that because Roe versus Wade is violating our authority to do that.
And so what would be the implications of this case? Say it gets taken up by the Supreme Court, say they rule the way that you want them to rule. What would then happen to abortion? What would happen to state laws across the country? What would be the effect?
Yeah, it'd go back to the states. And so we want to, get it back into the states' hands. Killing is a state issue, and it should be, protected, at the state level. And hopefully one day make abortion unthinkable. So it's not just legislation that's going to automatically make it to where abortion doesn't happen. We need to have a culture shift, but they work off of one another. We need to have the good legislation. We need to continue to win the arguments. And the closer we get towards conception, and the more we continue to make the arguments that it is life in the womb. People like to talk about science a lot these days. Let's talk about the science. How did that thumb get in that mouth? It's because they're seeking a sense of security. It's clearly a life in the womb. And to take that life, an innocent life, is something that is unconscionable, and America needs to see it that way.
Absolutely. So what can a normal person do, someone who's not a state legislator? How can they support this effort? Is there anything that you can tell regular people that they can do if they want to get involved here?
Well, for this one, I think it's a branding argument, right? That culture shift. A lot of what happened when we got Roe versus Wade was there was a groundswell of pro-abortion legislation that was passing throughout the nation, and eventually the U.S. Supreme Court weighed in and protected a woman's right to choose. And we need to have that groundswell going in the other direction and saying it's a life in the womb. And the more states are passing legislation like this, the more it percolates in the courts, the more it makes it right for review. And the more likely the U.S. Supreme Court is going to fall on the right side of this.
Excellent. And I understand you're also running for Congress. You're actually trying to unseat what I understand is one of the most liberal Republicans in Congress right now. Is there anything you could do or imagine doing in Congress to work on this life issue if you get elected?
Well, I would certainly, in this case, have signed on to an amicus brief as a U.S. congressman as well. But, I led the state legislator effort. So that's just one place to start with. But continuing, whatever it is, a heartbeat bill is something that could be the next step. And I'd love to pursue that. 15 weeks, heartbeat, detectable heartbeat, conception. That's a very natural path for us to go on. The court is very reluctant to fully overturn legislation all at one time. Plessy versus Ferguson, for example, was overturned in part by Brown versus Board of Education. That took the heart out of Plessy. And for education and transportation issues, saying that segregation wasn't constitutional. So that was good, and then it continued to get better with subsequent case law. So that's what we need to do to Roe. We need to do to Roe what Brown versus Board of Education did to Plessy versus Ferguson.
Excellent. Well, Representative Carra, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for being with us. Folks, Alex Newman with The New American. We're here at Mike Lindell Cyber Symposium, and we'll be back. Thanks.